On. All right, you ready, Eddie?
Yeah. Well, if I'm not, are we gonna?
Kind of always ready, aren't you?
Go.
1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, and 95.7 FM. It's hour number 2 at Teleforum, and we're staying on Facebook Live, so if you want to see this, you're already there if you watch Dale Reckless. We're going to talk about education, and I've got a lot of questions, and the people here are going to be able to answer them. Skip is here, Rob is here, and Sarah is here. Skip Home and Rob Poster Pack. I never say your name
You're
right.
good,
Did I
Mr.
get it
Crow.
right?
Hey, you're good.
And Sarah, you go to school at Blackhawk, right?
Yes.
Skip, you were the vice chair of this, not of this project, but of what this project was with Johns Hopkins. I remember talking to you about it when it was just getting announced and just getting started. The results are in. First, tell people what was the project and what was the design of the project? What were you trying to do? I can say it's about education, but it's about a lot more than just education.
Sure. Thanks, and good morning, Beaver County. It's great to have the opportunity to talk with you about a project that we believe has the potential to really revolutionize Beaver County. Not just education, but our culture, the way we behave, the way we think, and certainly, obviously, the way we are engaged and collaborate about education. So, yeah, the project started actually 4 years ago. 2018, we really got started seriously. The Beaver County Partnership was formed in 2017, and we were all about population growth. You know, we've seen this long, painful decline in population that has impacted everything in Beaver County.
Congressional maps, the whole deal.
Everything. Certainly probably the most important being the tax base. I mean,
Yes.
our tax base has continued to erode. So we were about trying to reverse this declining population trend and grow Beaver County. So we formed councils of what we thought were drivers of growth in
Okay.
Beaver County. And those were quality education, quality of life, desirable housing, economic development and jobs, and good governance. And we formed the Quality Education Council, which has focused on all things education in Beaver County. It's composed of about 50 plus diverse representatives of the education community throughout Beaver County.
When you say diverse, was that a conscious effort to make sure you got everybody from all different places?
Absolutely. We've maintained that sort of policy approach in everything we've tried to do with the partnership and with the Quality Education Council, the QEC. So we believe that our schools, at least the perception of our schools, impacted population in Beaver County.
Sure.
We questioned whether they're really competitive with our surrounding counties. And if young families are looking to live in western Pennsylvania, would they likely come to Beaver County, or would they see opportunities outside Beaver County that would attract them to live in those communities?
And you're talking about, okay, I'm moving there and I've got a family. What's going on in Beaver County, as opposed to Butler or Washington or Allegheny?
Seneca Valley,
Yeah.
Moon, I mean, school districts that have newer campuses and are significantly larger with probably more resources and opportunities than schools in Beaver County.
To comment on that, Skip, what we found out, if you get on the Beaver County Partnership website, you can see all the studies now.
I was reading the study
Yes.
all morning, and a couple of things jumped out, but how surprised were you at the results? And we'll get into the results in a little
Sure.
bit, but it's a Johns Hopkins connected study. I'm not looking at it, doubting it from the onset, but were the results kind of what you expected?
Fortunately, we were able to partner. We did an RFP, a request for proposal. We
Okay.
had a half dozen different entities request to do the study. Johns Hopkins, when we got their request, it was by far ahead of the pack.
Who else wanted to do the study besides Johns Hopkins?
The Allegheny Intermediate Unit put a request in to do the study, but they're
Okay.
so close and on top of us. I'm trying to think of a couple of others,
Okay.
Skip. I don't recall. It's been like
I don't
a year and a
remember
half,
the
2 years.
names.
But they weren't from the
But
area.
but
They
it,
were
but Johns
outside.
Hopkins was
Yeah.
that's the group. Yeah.
And so we knew going in that they would do a study that was non-biased. They would come in and they would put together a study that would allow them to examine all aspects of Beaver County and the educational programs. That's why we have a student voice with us today.
Yeah.
And then we would be able to go through that, and no one went in with the results in mind. So are the results, some of them we already knew the answer to. Some of them, were a little more recommendations, but what they insisted on, and we have it here, is like they examined Butler County, they examined Dauphin County, they examined Pittsburgh Public, York County, and then they went into a Texas, Cameron County, Texas, and then Allegiant County in Michigan. The reason they did that is they benchmarked areas that may have had similar trends of reduction in population, reduction in student population, and what did they do to overcome that to keep the cost of education competitive. So that's why they chose those, and they purposely worked with the committee to, choose the areas that they would look at, so that as they put the study together, they can say, here are some things that have been done. Some might fit, some definitely won't fit, but they did that. But when Skip was talking about people not moving here, or people making conscious efforts to move,
Right.
part of the first study demonstrated, and I don't want to quote numbers, but approximately 40% of our working population drive into Beaver County.
From somewhere
From
else.
somewhere else.
Their tax base and their home
Right.
and their school and their kids are in, like you said, Skip, maybe over in Moon, might be Coreopla, wherever.
It could be Cranberry, Moon,
Yeah.
it could be anywhere. And the question is, why make that conscious effort if they have children in school? Why not live closer to your school and your job? Was there a conscious effort made? We don't know the answer to that, but what we do know is we have a large percentage of our people that work in the county that drive in. And we have a large percentage of people that live in our county and drive out.
Yeah, I did it for a long time.
Correct.
And Sarah may tell you that a lot of our students don't really expect to stay in Beaver County. I mean, they don't see the opportunity. They haven't necessarily been prepared for the workplace sufficiently. So they don't really, what we learned, what Johns Hopkins learned in focus groups with students was the majority of our students don't expect to stay in Beaver County.
All right, I want to ask Sarah a question. You're a student at Blackhawk, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Is this something that you heard about and said, I need to be a part of that? Or is this something where the Beaver County Partnership came and solicited opinions and said, we want to hear from students?
No, overall, like I've been in Beaver County my whole life. My family has, and I personally have always just wanted to like go out. I'm a very like I like the warm weather, so I've always wanted to
Okay,
go.
so you're going to be a snowbird.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my plans were always to like stay in here for a little bit, and then maybe like possibly go out west, definitely. But
Okay.
overall, like my whole family's have grown up here. I've been here my whole life, and it's just been, it's always home. It's always going to be home.
Yeah.
But it's also like I definitely would consider going.
So do you feel like, I mean, what year are you? Junior, senior?
I'm a senior. yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like if you wake up, it's the day after graduation, Blackhawk has its ceremony, you wake up the next day and you go out into the great big world, how prepared do you feel with the education that you got while you were here in Beaver County?
Overall, like all of our schools have like great, like we have like CCBC like classes, and we have a tech. In my school, I had a lot of opportunities to take. Like I was always like into outdoors and like camping and skiing and stuff. So I had opportunities to take like small animal science classes,
Okay.
and like we also have like tech classes and.
So the opportunities were there, but you had to see them and say, I'm going to take these classes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Part of the Johns Hopkins study the students were some of the most telling conversations they had.
I'd rather,
And the reason
grown-ups
why-
over students, students are gonna tell you the truth quicker.
Well,
Yeah.
Sarah, for example, just if you don't mind me prompting her a little bit, if you look back at your education, Sarah, and then you met with your peers, and your activities outside of school are what?
I do a lot of outdoor activities. I don't know, I'm a very homey person, so like I spend a lot of family time, but I also have a lot of like different friend groups in the area. We go on like a lot of skiing trips with outside kids from not a lot of students from Black Hawk, but like other areas.
So when you spoke to those kids, what did they say about their education when they were able to speak about that versus your education?
I think a lot of them wish that they had more options. I know a lot of students that will leave a half day and their only option might be like VOTEC or like a CCBC class, but we have a lot to explore, and especially in Black Hawk with a variety of like agriculture classes, and we have like the tech side. I took a lot of family consumer science and art classes because they provide me with that, and I think I had great options to really explore, and it made me want, I've always had like a side of me that wanted to be like a teacher, and having these classes made me want to be like a family consumer science teacher. So I got a taste of like what that's like and what I can do whenever I go to school and stuff.
All right, we need to take a break for news here in a couple of minutes, but I do, just for a second, and we're gonna get into it much more in the second half of the program. The 5 factors that were looked at were economic and job growth, desirable housing, quality of place, which, Sarah, that kind of sounds like what you were talking about, the options, good governance, and quality education. After reading through this, a couple of ideas kept popping up. I'm going to throw a word at you, and it might be a bad word to some people, but consolidation. Is consolidation something that will be considered or begin to be considered for some people after this study? Because some of the issues cited in this study, consolidation, at least on the surface, would appear to help alleviate. I know that's a horrible question right before a break to throw at you, Skip.
No, the Johns Hopkins people, I think, addressed that very, very well. And Dr. Ross, in our press conference yesterday, spoke very well about it. I think merger and consolidation is a solution at some point in time when Beaver County is ready for that. We did not believe that's the first thing out of the chute. I mean, we think things like sharing resources among school districts, working with each other in a more collaborative way are the initial initiatives that should be pursued. But merger and consolidation is, like I say, a solution that we believe should be pursued in subsequent phases of this.
As a student, would that bug you to come back 5 years from now and find out Black Hawk is now Black Hawk combined with somebody else? Because I remember when Quaker Valley became Central Valley, there was a lot of screaming and yelling. As a student, how big a deal would that be to you?
For me, if I came back and we were merged with another school or something, there wouldn't be a lot of attention on like what we would not need, but like what we really need, like our education. I feel like if we have a very large school, there's very, like, we're going abroad, like everyone's getting the same. Some people need more attention, not attention, but like help with other things and
Resources.
yes, and I feel like the classes would just be so large, it would almost be like some kids would just kind of get pushed to the side if they are too afraid to like step up or like ask for like help or.
It's a lot tougher to raise your hand in a room of 300 than it is in a room of 10.
Our classes are very comfortable, like we have like 20 to 30 kids in a class, and it's very comfortable for one of us to be like, hey, I need help.
It's Sarah Dettinger, correct?
Yes.
I can't read my own writing. Skip Holman and Rob Posterpacker, my guests. We're talking about education with the Beaver County Partnership. More Questions is being Facebook Live right now. You can watch this. News is next on Beaver County Radio.
I just love my Tyler Mountain Water Man.
That's something I hear all the time. Hi, I'm Matthew Jones with Tri-State Waters, and we deliver everywhere in the Tri-State area. From North Swickley to South Heights, from East Liverpool to West Mayfield, we deliver. We even deliver to the island. Well, Neville Island, that is. No matter what direction your home or business is in, we'll deliver and let you fall in love with your waterman too. Call Tri-State Waters at 724-774-4644.
Ice and snow on the roads can sometimes mean hazardous driving conditions. Canoes Body Works in Freedom reminds you to use extra caution during the winter season. If you have the misfortune of a run-in with a guardrail, or you get stopped by something other than your brakes, make your car as good as Gnu. Call Gnu's Body Works today at 724-770-1121. Remember, if the weather is calling for snow and ice, you might be calling Gnu's Body Works, a full-service auto collision and custom restoration facility in Freedom.
Highmark Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and Allegheny Health Network are pleased to present a new show on Beaver County Radio called Heroes. Tune in every Saturday at 10 and Sunday at 12:30 for Heroes, a wonderful half-hour segment hosted by Jim Roddy that profiles many of the local heroes in this community. Click highmark.com for more information and then tune in for Heroes this Saturday at 10 and again Sunday at 12:30 on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.
When Mary arrived for her second visit, she opened my door and danced from the door to my front desk with this huge smile on her face. And then she just started bawling. She starts to tell me that it was the first time in 12 years that she felt relief. And then I started to well up.
That's Dr. Sean Ritchie of Tri-State Neuropathy Centers. And Mary Danced In is just one of his thousands of success stories.
Peripheral neuropathy, if I can explain it in terms that they feel it, it's like if you would sit on your foot and your foot falls asleep, you start to tap it and it comes back to life. Or their foot never comes back to life. It's always feeling that numbness, that pins and needles, that tingling, and it just never goes away. So Mary comes in, proceed to hear that she's had this for 12 years. Got to the point where she was about to go into a walker. 2 days later, she's dancing.
For your free consultation, call 878-313-3019. That's 878-313-3019. Or go to marydancedin.com.
I'm Dr. Sean Ritchie, and I'm teaming up with Dr. Jared Yevans to bring hope to the neuropathy sufferers in Beaver.
This is Mike Rubino, Executive Director of the United Way of Beaver County. Did you know that during the pandemic, the United Way of Beaver County distributed over $1 million to local charities? Charities like the Salvation Army, the Beaver County Women's Center, the Beaver County Association for the Blind, the Cancer Heart Association, the YMCA, Catholic Charities, and Meals on Wheels. Over 50 local nonprofits receive funds that were raised by the Beaver County United Way. These charities continue to work tirelessly to help those less fortunate in our area, and the need is greater than ever, and we need your help. Thanks to an anonymous donor and several local businesses, any donation received this spring will be doubled dollar for dollar. So now is the time to give. Please visit www.unitedwaybeaver.org to learn more and make your donation. Double your gift to help your Beaver County neighbor. Please donate. www.unitedwaybeaver.org. Thank you for your support.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge, broadcasting live from the St. Barnabas Studios.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning, as it's going to be a beautiful late winter day here in Beaver County. Mostly sunny throughout the day. High's going to be up to 56 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. A fatal crash happened this morning around 3 a.m. that had the westbound lanes of the Pennsylvania Turnpike closed between Cranberry and Newcastle. The accident happened at mile marker number 20 in New Swickley Township. Pennsylvania State Police are reporting that 2 tractor trailers and a box truck were involved in the crash, as well as a pedestrian, that 1 person was killed. Police believe the pedestrian was along the shoulder of the roadway when a tractor trailer struck them. They were then hit by other vehicles. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Curtis Walsh is reporting that he spoke to Freedom Area Schools Superintendent Diane Workman yesterday afternoon regarding the student actions that took place during a varsity basketball game against New Brighton last Friday night. Workman confirmed the district has identified multiple people involved at different levels in the incident. When asked how many people, the superintendent declined to answer, stating that the investigation is ongoing. At the New Brighton Area School Board meeting on Monday night, Dr. Joseph Garino stated that Freedom had identified some of the perpetrators and are handling it from a disciplined standpoint within their district. Workman said that Freedom took it seriously and we were sorry it happened. During the varsity basketball game last Friday night at Freedom, organized chants were typed on paper and demonstrated against New Brighton players, including one that involved the player's deceased father. The Beaver County Partnership, along with Johns Hopkins University and the Community Catalyst Partners, partnered for a study conducted by Johns Hopkins University that looked at what education will look like in Beaver County in 2030. The Beaver County Partnership that was formed in 2016 started the research in 2018, and in 2020, they handed the study over to the researchers at Johns Hopkins University. Those results were released yesterday. The study focused on 5 factors: economic and job growth, desirable housing, quality of place, good government, and quality education. Now, Stephen Ross, the director of the Center for Research and Reform in Education at Johns Hopkins University, headed up the study, and he said the results showed enrollments in nearly all 14 school districts have declined in the county, as well as overall population. Compared to the benchmarking communities examined, Beaver County had the lowest ratio of local total funding. Compared to 4 other PA districts, Beaver County also had the lowest proportion of total spending for instruction. Revenues increased less than expenditures for 6 districts. Clear inequities existed across districts in financial health, and the community perceptions about Beaver County said that they were positive about the county. It's a safe and pleasant place to live, but the citizens polled were concerned about the capacity of small school districts to provide cutting-edge and comprehensive programming, inequities in education opportunities across the districts, and the ability of Beaver County to attract and keep younger families relative to wealthier neighboring counties. You can see the complete results of the study by going to our website at beavercountyradio.com. There's also 5 town halls that are coming up that they're encouraging Beaver County residents to participate in. Those dates and times, as well as the Zoom meetings, are on our website at beavercountyradio.com. Chesapeake Bay states have until 2025 to implement practices to reduce watershed pollution, and a new report shows climate-smart farming can help prevent farm runoff. Emily Scott has more.
In the Chesapeake Bay Clean Water Blueprint, roughly 80% of the remaining pollution reduction must come from agriculture, and Pennsylvania is the furthest behind among the Bay states. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation report says implementing regenerative farming practices, from rotational grazing to planting forest buffers along streams, can reduce animal waste and soil erosion. Bill Chain with the foundation says Pennsylvania has a lot of farm conservation work to do.
Farmers are ready to adopt conservation practices, but need funding. Both the state and federal conservation funding fall woefully short of what's necessary to make that investment with family farms in improving water quality.
He says one step the state could take is to establish an agricultural conservation assistance program, which would fund best management practices like planting streamside trees and cover crops. I'm Emily Scott.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Partly sunny skies today with a high of 56 degrees. Overnight tonight, chance of rain showers after 2 a.m. Low's going to be down to 47. Tomorrow, showers, high 59 degrees. Then on Friday, a chance of morning snow showers. High will be 32 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 34. And Sunday, mostly sunny. High is going to be up to 52 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Go.
1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, and now 95.7 FM. And now more about the Beaver County Partnership. Skip Holman, if you're watching this, that's Skip, that's Rob, that's Sarah. This is being Facebook Live feeded. Rob Posterpack is my guest, and Sarah Dettinger from Blackhawk High School. And we're talking about the report that came out yesterday, and I'm getting questions. Before we go any further with the questions and answers, you're providing an opportunity for people to ask questions to get answers. 5 different times. You've got town hall meetings coming up, right?
That's right.
Tell people how to get involved in that. I've got some information here, but I expect you know more.
Yeah, really, over the next 3 weeks, we're all about engaging the people of Beaver County. And we've scheduled 5 town hall meetings, public meetings. We want the public to attend them. We want to hear the public's voice about education in Beaver County and how we can go about implementing the solutions in the Johns Hopkins report. We want people to have a better understanding of what's in the Johns Hopkins report, what their findings are, what their solutions are as recommended. So register on the website for the Beaver County Partnership. It's beavercountypartnership.com.
Very simple.
And you'll find the education page and a registration link to register. The first one's Thursday evening, virtual. 3 of them will be virtual, 2 will be in person. The first one is this Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. Then the second one will be Saturday in person at the YMCA.
CCBC this Saturday, 10 a.m.
Okay, it's the first one. Then the next Saturday will be at the YMCA. Right. Okay.
What do you expect to hear now that the information's getting out there and people are starting to dissect it?
Well, we want to make sure they understand what we're doing and like I say, what's in the Johns Hopkins report. And there will be a presentation by Dr. Ross from Johns Hopkins on the report. So yeah, we want to hear what people think about education in Beaver County, what their concerns are, what their recommendations and suggestions are for education in Beaver County. So that's what this is all about, engaging and involving the community.
All right, Rob, I want to ask you this because I'm oversimplifying it, and help me understand. Enrollments in all the districts, 14 of them, went down. Population is going down in Beaver County.
That's correct.
My stupid math tells me that means it's going to cost more to maintain the education that we currently have going on at different schools in Beaver County. Before we start talking about improving them, am I oversimplifying that it's about money at this point? We can't improve, we got to maintain with more?
I've been born and raised Beaver County.
Yeah.
I think Beaver County is not unique in that, tell me if you're raising my taxes, why? I don't want my taxes to go up.
Right.
If you have less people contributing to higher costs, that math is not hard. It's not oversimplified in that less people, we need X amount of dollars, it will cost each person more. If we're able to talk about population trends and growing population, more people for the same amount of money would cost me less. So what's happened is since the late 70s, early 80s, population in Beaver County, especially school, went from in the early to mid 40,000 students.
Okay.
So we had about 42, 43,000. We're down to 21,000. So we're under half total population of students in that 50-year period. But we still have the same number of districts minus the merger of Center and Monaca. So you have the same number of educational buildings, the same number of educational opportunities. So I do it this way. I've been fortunate in my career. I've been fortunate to work with great people. But if I have a math class, a calculus class in Western Beaver that has 10 kids in it, and the teacher that teaches that class has 7 periods a day and makes $70,000, they're paid $10,000 a period.
Okay.
So for 10 students, they're paid $10,000.
$1,000 a head.
If I go to Sarah's class in Blackhawk, and they're paid the same dollar for the class at $10,000, but there's 20 kids in the class, it's $500 a head. So it's a math problem of, yes, you always have small classes when you have, we call them singletons, targeted classes that not a lot of people take. Sarah took anthropology last semester. How many students were in your anthropology class?
Probably like 12.
How does that person, you don't have an anthropology teacher.
We do.
Specifically. You've got.
We've had a social studies teacher
studies
who can
teacher
teach
who
that.
picks that up. Okay.
Correct. But not every school can afford to do that.
Right.
We can, but we have some classes. Sarah's been in a number of art classes. You've been in ceramics. You've been in Art 3. Sometimes you might only have 6, 7 kids in a class.
Yeah, our ceramics class maybe had like 9 people in it.
But should we deny 9 kids an art ceramic education? We can afford it at one school. Another school cannot afford to offer that class, doesn't have a kiln, can't do this, this, or this. So students in that area don't know they're not getting the same class Sarah's getting.
That's what Sarah was talking about earlier. It's a good
Correct.
education, but you don't know what you're not getting until you hear, oh, well, this school has this or that.
In the report, it's articulated the student voice. The student voice was the most compelling voice of the whole process. But what we found is, Sarah, I'd asked all the peer groups you talk to, how do they feel about their school and their education in general in Beaver County?
Like it's great, but they don't know. Like when we would talk about some of the things we got to do in class, they would like, oh, well, we want that. Well, why don't we have that? Like all of our core classes were pretty compatible, but any other classes that led to something more in our future, like we had a ceramics class. I know 2 or 3 students that have a major in art that are going to be like art therapists or like something for art.
Right.
And other students that we were talking to in the group, they were like, well, I want to do that because I have the potential, but I don't have the classes for it. And it's not horrible. Like it's not bad, but it's like I didn't know my friends didn't have those classes, and I feel bad because like I have the opportunity and some kids don't.
So part of the focus is, how do you offer all students the opportunity to explore their interest as they're going through school to lead to, this is maybe what I want to do as a career, and I have a stepping stone in some knowledge and background.
And you know what? We're not here to be critical of our school districts, the administrators of our school districts. We've learned that they are doing a very good job with the resources they have.
With what they got,
The problem is that in a lot of our schools, resources are limited and becoming more limited,
For
more
example,
difficult.
I'm the superintendent at Blackhawk and Western Beaver. That's a shared resource. I certainly don't make a full salary at 2 school
I was going to
districts.
say, they didn't double your salary either, did they?
Anytime they would want to, I would accept, but I don't think that's going to, and I would not accept that. It's more economical. You don't need, why does the superintendent have to make that much at 2 schools when I can spread that around? We share, for example, our director of special education is shared between districts. New Brighton, Rochester, and Beaver Falls share technology coordination. Some schools share AP classes because they might not be able to afford to have an AP teacher, but they want their students to have it, so they collaborate to have students take it from another school. So it's more economical and students have access.
How much more difficult is that walking that tightrope? Because Beaver County, compared to the other benchmarks, Beaver County has the lowest proportion of total spending already. I mean, we're talking about more money is going to come out of individuals' pockets because there are fewer individuals to maintain the same, and we're already spending less than those around us.
Lots of data in the study, lots of graphs, but what you will see is the majority of all the schools in Beaver County pay less for instruction and education than all of the benchmark counties. So we don't put as much effort into providing instruction and education as we do in facilities, upgrades, maintaining facilities, improvements. Because what you also find in there, for the most part, our high schools were built 40, 50, 60 years ago. Think of your home. How long is it until you need major renovations? Let's say the average school, Ambridge has a newer high school, Aliquippa has a newer high school, but by and large, the majority of schools are 50 plus years old. Could every community afford a $20 million to $40 million upgrade of their high school? and pay for that without increasing taxes? Is that even possible to think of doing?
That's a lot of money to come up, especially
For every community.
When you're seeing the different communities here. We're already behind the 8 ball as far as spending. So you're talking about not only catching up, you're talking about going well past that.
And that's what the study does. It identifies that, have you considered, have you looked at, and what it doesn't do that people always want, give me the answer.
Well,
There is no answer.
Right.
Your communities have to decide that. Every answer could be different based upon the community and the needs of that community. You can't give a one-size-fits-all answer, and they haven't done that. I think you even got a question earlier from our audience about municipalities.
I got a bunch of questions. I'll throw this one at you, and I think this is hinting at the consolidation question for earlier. How much are these school district issues are an extension of the fact that Beaver County has over 50 municipalities for a population of 168,000?
All I can say is the population 50 years ago was higher with the same number of municipalities.
Right.
Obviously, I'm sure they're behind the same 8-ball education is, but because I'm not familiar with that side of government,
Okay.
there are, we have county, obviously commissioners that do a great job. Then you have community leaders. You have people who manage, town managers. They would have to answer that. But I'm sure they struggle with the same financial things that we as schools do.
It's our DNA. It's who we are in Beaver County and who we've become conditioned to be. We're relatively disconnected.
Wait a minute. We're relatively disconnected from what?
Well, let's say our municipalities disconnected with our school districts.
Oh, okay. Okay.
As one example.
All right.
Or our various organizations disconnected from one another, as opposed to having a county-wide sort of collaborative culture, collaborative processes, to be able to work more effectively together. I think that's who we've been, and that's what we're trying to change. That's what we're trying to change. I think we've already seen significant collaboration happening in the last 2 or 3 years with our project. I mean, we're facilitating that. And back to the town hall meetings, that's what it's about. We want the public to become engaged and involved.
Well, can I ask Sarah?
You can ask
If
anybody
Sarah,
you
you
want.
had to give a recommendation or two, because she spoke to me about this, and she spoke to Johns Hopkins about it. What would from the student voice, what would a recommendation or two be about educational opportunities to students?
I think like our system to have us all choose what we want to really like, if you really want to go into this or this, instead of like our core classes are like we have all our core classes, and then we also have a great option to choose our electives.
Right.
And
So should all students have that same opportunity regardless of zip code or school district?
Yes, I think that we should all have the same opportunity, which I never realized that we really didn't, which,
Right.
I mean, obviously different schools have their own.
That begs the question then, if students voice, we want a wide variety of opportunities, and they don't want to have to add costs to people, but I want my opportunity so that when I grow up and I go out and seek my career, I'm well prepared.
Right.
How do we economically do that? Because it's the same, it's the definition of insanity.
Doing the same
Keep doing
thing,
the same thing over, but expect the kids to get a different result, they will not. And what we hear from the kids are, we get a great education. We love Beaver County. Our schools, we love them.
Yeah.
But if I had the choice, there might be other things I'm interested in that I didn't know I could have.
I'm going to throw out a question that may get people upset, and if I put you in a bad position, I apologize. But Sarah, do you care as much about high school football as Beaver County does about high school football?
I mean, I love.
What a horrible question. You
We actually
thought
discussed
you were
that
coming
before
at
she
it.
got into that.
Yeah. So, Sarah, nice to meet you. I am throwing you under the bus.
Yeah.
We're talking about economics, and you know this as a superintendent, and you know this, and Sarah, I bet you know this. There's a whole lot of money that build, artificial turf stadiums aren't cheap.
No,
So-
but I mean, it is high school football. I love watching it. I love going to the games. It's something for me to do. But it is also high school football. So like, I don't know how or where the money goes, but I feel like we could make it more like, if we need this is our problem, instead of like a student might need something more help or more like time in
Or
their
an art
class.
class or money to
I
build
can
a
probably get
kiln.
myself in a lot more trouble than that.
Okay.
14 football fields in Beaver County, how many sit empty every Friday night?
I'm going to guess 7.
I'm going to guess 7.
Okay. See how I did the fractions there?
I'm going to guess that for that amount of money,
Yeah.
only half of the fields sit empty. How many classrooms, though, would sit empty? Or how many classrooms could you put more kids into
Okay.
for that amount, with an effort to say no student should be in an empty classroom or miss out.
Right.
Nobody should be sitting empty. But those facilities cost a lot of money to maintain,
Right.
manage, upkeep, and then they sit empty. That's a lot of money to sit empty.
That's a whole lot of laptops. That's a whole lot of
Yeah.
art supplies. That's a whole lot of bricks to build a kiln. And Skip, you know this, when you start talking about, well, they spend too much money on high school sports, you're going to have people get their dander up real quick.
Immediately.
Yeah.
No, I think
Sure.
they should spend as much or more, but they also need to realize not every student will make a career of that. In fact, very few will.
Oh.
But every student wants a career and every student wants an opportunity. Let's focus in on what all students want, not just what a sport student wants, because we have great athletics here. We have great academics here. But we know now, according to the study, we put less money into instruction and curriculum than all of our benchmark schools.
Where does the money come from? Do you need to convince people? I can tell you're laughing. It's like, the universal question. Do you convince people that the education is lacking in some aspects, or will they care?
I don't think it's lacking. I think there's some access
Okay,
that needs
access issues.
to all students.
Right.
Because I think every student in Beaver County gets a great core education. We have great schools. We score high on all of our tests. That's in the results. We are above the average in Pennsylvania in our whole county. We have great schools.
Most people don't know that.
We do. And we have great administrators, leaders, boards, obviously, or we wouldn't be there. Now the question is, how do you make the tax structure not explode, but maintain and improve that quality? You're at that, overlooking that cliff now. You're there, you haven't stepped over, but are you going to continue down the path of increasing cost?
But this is what's coming.
It's there.
I think you just heard probably one of our more motivated students say that she didn't realize that all students in Beaver County do not have the access to opportunities that she had in Blackhawk.
Right.
So I think that same is true for us parents. I think we're somewhat the same way. A lot of us don't realize that some of our students aren't getting that same opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. You know what the school your kid goes to, you know what they have.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
And our program is intended to educate and help all Beaver Countyans more so understand the situation we're in and sort of the sense of urgency for change.
And I want to make one fact very clear. Our colleague, Dr. Matsuk, was unable to be with us today.
Mm-hmm.
He was the superintendent at Central Valley when they merged with Monaca.
Right.
He's a retired superintendent now. He's a recovery officer for the state. So he's part of the partnership and leadership of this. One thing he said at an early on meeting, this is not about our babies. No one is asking young people to not have their nearby community schools for these elementary, even middle school. They're talking about students as they get into high school. They're more mobile. Sarah's even said to us today, I have friends from all over the county.
Yep.
I have friends from here. I can get from here to there. If I had opportunity and somebody offered me, are you interested in this? It would be offered over here. You could get there. We understand elementary students. You can't drive them all over the county.
No, you're
This
you're
is talking
going where the
about our
bus stops.
older students.
Yeah.
This is talking about the kids who are looking at those high school and, college and career ready. Because not every kid now wants to go to college. A lot want technical educations.
I would have been 1,000 times better off 1,000 times better off doing, Sarah and I were talking before.
Yes.
You're a senior at Blackhawk, you're already taking classes at CCBC. That's brilliant, and that's about access. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up? It's the Beaver County Partnership. Skip Holman is here, Rob Posterpack is here, Sarah Dettinger is here. I'm gonna tell you, this is just for you, not them, okay?
Okay.
Don't trust anyone over 30. I'm just putting that out there. Is there anything that I should have asked any of you that I didn't get to?
I don't think anything. I think we've had a good conversation. We appreciate that a lot. We want Beaver County to imagine a Beaver County where all of our students have the opportunity for post-secondary education and careers with good paying jobs. So we want Beaver County to imagine that kind of Beaver County and realize the kind of change we need to make to get to that sort of vision.
And I would add, every adult I know, regardless of age, regardless of if they have children, grandchildren, or anyone else in the system, wants kids to have the best opportunity they can. But we know in the study, over 75% of Beaver County homes do not have a student in school. Those are the taxpayers.
Those are the people paying.
They need to come to the town hall meetings and listen and voice their opinion.
Right.
And say, if I'm paying, I want kids to have the best. There's not one adult that wants a kid to not have the best opportunity. Yeah. But at what cost? And if they're they pay. Let's talk about how it can be economical and better.
Talking about the Johns Hopkins study, Sarah, thank you for showing up and
Thank you.
getting a younger perception. I'm telling you, no one over 30. Talking about Beaver County Schools, the study by Johns Hopkins. BeaverCountyPartnership.com is where you go to get signed up for one of the town hall meetings. Thank you to Rob Posterpack and thank you to Skip Holman. And we'll talk about this again. There's an immense amount of information to sort through, and thank you guys. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
When Mary arrived for her second visit, she opened my door and danced from the door to my front desk with this huge smile on her face. And then she just started bawling. She starts to tell me that it was the first time in 12 years that she felt relief. And then I started to well up.
That's Dr. Sean Ritchie of Tri-State Neuropathy Centers, and Mary danced in is just one of his thousands of success stories.
Peripheral neuropathy, if I can explain it in terms that they feel it, it's like if you would sit on your foot and your foot falls asleep, you start to tap it and it comes back to life. Or their foot never comes back to life. It's always feeling that numbness, that pins and needles, that tingling, and it just never goes away. So Mary comes in, proceeded to hear that she's had this for 12 years, got to the point where she was about to go into a walker. 2 days later, she's dancing.
For your free consultation, call 878-313-3019. That's 878-313-3019. Or go to marydancedin.com.
I'm Dr. Sean Ritchie, and I'm teaming up with Dr. Jared Yevans to bring hope to the neuropathy sufferers in Beaver.